Hello everyone, Ewan here, and just before we begin, I want to quickly give a shout out to Skillshare, who are now working with us here on What Culture Comics to help you access all sorts of exciting classes, but more on that later. Cheating is a broad term, as there are many ways to cheat a system or a set of rules, especially when you're dealing with something as loose as superhero comics. Showcased today in this video are supervillains who manage to either find loopholes in the rules of their power set to address a weakness, gain increased power, or at least the appearance thereof, through illusions, betrayal, or trickery, or outright through disobeying the established limits of their own abilities. I'm Ewan, you're watching What Culture Comics, and here are 10 comics villains who cheated their powers. Number 10. Spellbinder using technology to induce hypnosis. Batman Beyond. One of the coolest villains from the 100% original Rogues Gallery of Batman Beyond was Spellbinder, whose whole shtick was being a more effective, if not less versatile version of Mysterio. Spellbinder was a scientist who figured out how to build a machine that could induce near-perfect hallucinations onto people, even making them forget what they were previously doing and genuinely think they are living a hallucination. So obviously he used this tech to get rich. Duh. First, by straight up turning teenagers into hypnotized slaves to do his dirty work and then take the fall, which is not good, and then next by realizing, oh wait, I can just siphon money off of them by making VR headsets that don't suck and charging them for the privilege. What puts Spellbinder on this list is his dramatic flair, which belongs to all Gothamites seemingly by birthright, leading him to hide his science-based powers behind a facade of mysticism, hence the all-spiral onesie costume and the hypnosis device made to look like a large magic eyeball. Number 9. Prometheus using a helmet to download heroes' fighting tactics. Some villains cheat their powers to gain a momentary advantage, and some dirty boys base their entire power set around being a little sneak. Guess which one of these categories Prometheus falls into? Prometheus was created as a dark mirror to Batman. As a child, his parents, both of whom were career criminals, were gunned down in a police shootout right in front of him. In response, he became an anarchic supervillain determined to wage war on all of civilized society. But anyway, Prometheus' main gimmick is that he's a nasty cheater who, rather than take on Batman with his own skills and inevitably get his ass thrashed, he instead made a special helmet which downloads the fighting styles and techniques of various heroes and villains directly into his brain. So you could be fighting the nimble assassin style of Deathstroke 1 minute and the unstoppable precision of Lady Shiva the next, all because this dude is too lazy to take a karate class. Number 8. Dr. Doom stealing the Silver Surfer's powers. Fantastic Four, number 57. If there is one constant in Dr. Doom's life, it is doing whatever he has to in order to secure more power for himself, and it always biting him in the ass. And this grand tradition originally started with Fantastic Four number 57, when Doom accomplished the unthinkable, stealing the power cosmic from the Silver Surfer. While the FF are off dealing with their own BS from the last issue, Dr. Doom lures Silver Surfer to Latveria. Once he's in the castle, Doom proceeds to distract him by just, well, talking to him, because when you're out surfing the stars, you're probably going to be a bit lonely. Anyway, when he's been distracted for long enough, Doom uses a device to steal away all of the Surfer's powers for himself, granting him near godlike power, the likes of which we wouldn't see again until Secret Wars over a decade later. Of course, this is Dr. Doom we're talking about, so it doesn't take long for this underhanded scheme to backfire on him, and backfire hard. But for a solid second there, Dr. Doom had cheated his way to the top of the food chain, and things looked very scary. Number 7. Clone Thor's hammer. Civil War. During Civil War, pretty much every hero who is a major player in the story crosses some big moral line at some point or another. But arguably the biggest was the creation of a Thor clone while Thor was dead, who would later be named Ragnarok. One of the most common questions in people's heads when seeing this infamous scene out of context is, wait a minute, why does he have Mjolnir if he's a clone? And the answer is that he doesn't. Yep, turns out that Mjolnir isn't that hard to recreate, at least superficially, especially if you're a super genius like Tony Stark or Reed Richards. The hammer is a fake, folks, meant to simulate the powers of the real Mjolnir, which makes it not quite as powerful, yeah, but it still shoots bolts of lightning, which, as poor Goliath infamously learns, makes any difference in specific power levels kinda superfluous. Okay, so at the start of the video, I told you that we'd partnered up with Skillshare, and Skillshare, for the uninitiated, is a huge online learning community with thousands of classes for things like video, illustration, photography, design, cooking, crafts, you name it, Skillshare will share it. And wonderfully enough, we actually have a really cool offer for you guys to go and check it out for yourselves. We are legitimately excited to be working with them on What Culture Comics because not only am I doing my best Bruce Wayne impression, learning all the skills from all the masters on the platform, which essentially makes me a cooler version of Batman, obviously, but we've also been using the classes to help us produce videos right here on the channel too. Case in point, because every video file I touch somehow spontaneously combusts, like that bit in The Simpsons where Homer's making cereal for Mr. Burns, I've been checking out the Learn Premiere Pro and Edit a How-To video for Beginners class. Now, I love this class mainly because it teaches the basics of video editing in a way that's very easy to follow. I feel less intimidated by the overall process, and as someone who spends most of their time on the opposite end of the camera, it gives me a better understanding of how my editor colleagues at What Culture go about chopping up me old content. We'd really love you guys to get the same experience and have access to all these classes as well, so we're offering What Culture viewers a tasty free membership trial of Skillshare Premium for 1 entire month. But Ewan, I thought you only got 2 weeks for that kind of thing. Yeah, well, normally you do, but we're incredibly not normal TM over here, so we're giving you a whole month. Plus, you deserve it. Probably. Hopefully. Maybe. Just click the link in the description, and if you're one of the lucky first 1,000 to do so, you'll get unlimited access to thousands of classes from quality teachers for an entire month absolutely free. So whether you're a certified content creator like me, or a chaotic amateur also like me, you can finally get stuck in and enlighten your brain cells to new and exciting skills with a capital Z. Thanks again to everyone at Skillshare. We'll have more on this over the coming months, but for now, back to the video. Number 6. The Riddler uses painkillers to appear unstoppable. Batman number 171. Seeking to discredit the dynamic duo, the Riddler, upon being released from prison, takes up a job at a law office and proceeds to lead them on wild goose chase after wild goose chase. However, when the Caped Crusader deduces what's actually going on, he and Robin confront the Riddler, only to have none of their attacks be of any effect against this typically wimpy supervillain. In this instance, it turns out that the Riddler was using painkillers to reduce how much Batman's punches actually hurt. When Batman finds this out, it's a simple matter of trying to counteract it and lay the supervillain flat on his behind. See, this is why no one respects you, Riddler. Number 5. Red Goblin removed all symbiote weaknesses. Spider-Man go down swinging. It's rather fortunate that, by and large, symbiotes are actually pretty nice, because as Venom and Carnage demonstrate, fighting them is terrifying. But at least you have some good old weaknesses to fall back on with them, right? Fire and really loud noises are pretty common, which is good because otherwise Carnage likely would have killed Peter and pals long ago. Well, it sure would suck if that psycho found a way around those weaknesses, wouldn't it? Yeah, so when the Carnage symbiote bonded with Norman Osborn, trust me, it's a whole thing, something unexpected happened when Carnage interacted with the Goblin Serum already inside Normie's system. Not only did it make him more powerful overall, but it also straight up removed the 2 primary weaknesses of all symbiotes: loud noises and fire. Naturally, seeing as how beating Carnage was hard enough when Spidey had those 2 easily accessible weaknesses, fighting Carnage without them and powered up by his most dangerous enemy is something of a nightmare. Number 4. Joker stole the powers of Mr. MXYZPTLK, Emperor Joker. Taking over the world is the classic supervillain end goal, but the Joker has never seemed that interested in it. Even at his darkest, Joker has always just been in it to mess with Batman like the clown-faced bitter ex-boyfriend he is. But that raises the obvious question, what if he did take over the world, and how would he do it? Well, we got our horrifying answer in the Superman storyline Emperor Joker. The long and short of the story is that Joker manages to steal the godlike abilities of the extra-dimensional trickster that's tormented Superman for so long. With it, he proceeds to impose his mad will on the entire world, bending all to his whim, and keeping bats for himself to torture for the rest of time. Joker is only defeated when he realizes that the reason he keeps bringing Batman back every time he kills him is because he knows he's nothing without the Caped Crusader, and so all victories are essentially meaningless if he cannot have that one victory that means the most to him. Number 3. Lex Luthor spliced himself with Superman's powers. 52. The whole premise for the excellent maxi series 52 was watching how the DC universe reacts to the complete disappearance of the three biggest superheroes, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, after the events of Infinite Crisis gave each of them reason to take a break and do some soul searching. As such, it was only a matter of time before we found out what Lex Luthor was getting up to without his arch nemesis to bother him. Turns out he spent the whole year selling essentially superpower in a can to anyone who wanted to be a superhero or villain. All of this with the goal of killing a lot of people, as well as giving himself all the powers of Superman on top of it. Look, not only is the idea of Lex Luthor stealing all of Superman's powers absolutely horrifying, especially since even when Superman comes back, he still doesn't have his powers, it's also just sort of flat out pathetic. All this time, Lex Luthor has said that if Superman wasn't around, he would have helped humanity evolve and save itself. Yet, when the Man of Steel returns, the only thing he has to ask Lex is where the hell any of his great aids to humanity actually are. Number 2. Doc Ock stole Spider-Man's body, Superior Spider-Man. Now, this is an interesting case, since shortly after performing this dirty little cheat, Doc Ock more or less completely reforms his act and becomes a full-time superhero. But he was as bad as they come when he did this, so I feel it still counts. When Otto starts dying of cancer, he sets about ensuring that he gets one last victory over the Wallcrawler before he kicks the bucket. The victory, of course, being that he doesn't go out, as he switches minds with Peter so that Peter is stuck in the dying body of Otto Octavius, while Otto gets to run around as Spider-Man. What results is a Spider-Man with all the same powers, but now with a devious and morally dubious mind like Otto Octavius is behind them. However, before Peter goes out, he plays one last trick on the supervillain, giving him access to all of his memories and making the Doctor see just how similar they really were and how their relationship could have been far different had one of them done something differently. This inspires Otto to continue Spider-Man's work, becoming the true Superior Spider-Man. Neither this, however, nor the eventual return to the status quo undoes just how deviously Otto cheated death through his arch-nemesis. And number 1, Mysterio. Literally all the time. Other villains have cheated to get ahead, or fool the hero, or find some clever trick to evade capture or disobey the rules of their own powers. But cheating and trickery are Mysterio's entire shtick, so it felt wrong to put him anywhere other than at the top. Mysterio is, of course, a failed illusionist who, when the stage didn't sate his ego like he thought it would, decided to become a thief, using his mastery of sleight of hand and special effects to make everyone think he's more powerful than he really is, which is to say, not very powerful at all. He wouldn't be using these tricks if he was in any way capable on his own, after all. And while occasionally Mysterio has gotten a taste of true power, he always defaults back to his parlor tricks because that really is all this dude's got at the end of the day. But to be fair, he's a pretty damn good illusionist, so who are we to judge? And those were 10 villains who cheated their powers. Know of any other bad guys who managed to cheat their abilities? Let us know down in the comments below, put the video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more so you don't miss another upload. I've been Ewan, you can catch more of me on Twitter if you want to, @EwanRuinsThings, and I will hopefully see you next time. Bye!